Hey everybody, we've got another fundamentals video here to help you get the most out of Sitefinity Insight. In this one, we're going to be talking about the concept of a touch point. What is a touch point and how does it influence the information that's in Sitefinity Insight? So I think this one's pretty straightforward, but it's a fundamental concept that you want to make sure you get right. So what is a touch point? Really, a touch point is any piece of content. Okay, it does not need to necessarily be a blog post or an article. A touch point is anything that you put out there for consumption. It can be an article, it can be your email newsletter, it could be a blog post, it can be video, it can be a podcast, it can even be anything interactive that you've got on your website. It can be a webinar. It can also be the aggregation of several of those items. So you may not necessarily need to attribute any of your user journey to one specific blog article. You may think of your blog with all of its articles as your touch point. You may have a collection of case studies, and just case studies themselves you conceptually think of as your single touch point. When you get into Sitefinity Insight, if you have these set up nicely, then it'll start to tell you a story about how your visitors are interacting with your content and contributing to those desired outcomes, your conversions. So quickly looking at the system, Sitefinity Insight will actually automatically detect some of the touch points that are having an influence and providing attribution to those conversions that are helping qualify people as personas. So here's how you can track that information in the system. Again, you can see here some examples of specific blog posts or an entire section on your website that in aggregate, you can help think of as a touch point. Does my news section in general drive people towards wanting to get in touch with me? So very powerful here, a capability to understand your content very discreetly or in a more aggregate fashion. So think about the content that you publish and kind of catalog that, whether it's formally written down in a list or just in your mind. Review your architecture of your site before you dive into Sitefinity Insight, because you're going to want to make sure that you understand what your touch points are going to be that you can then use to influence those desired outcomes, those conversions. All right, I think with all of these fundamentals understood, we're ready to get into the system. See you on the next video.